invite you to have a seat. If you have a garbage bag on you and you want to sit down, that's fine. It is really wet, so I can understand if you don't want to sit down. But even though you're not sitting, I'd like your attention as though you were sitting quietly and ready to listen. Does that make sense? I see 3 gentlemen towards the back that can move closer. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys what I used to tell my group last year. If you have a hard time focusing and need to hold Mrs. Sparza's cold, wet hand, I'm more than happy to hold your hand so that you can stand with me and not your friends and listen better. And Sabrina can vouch, I totally held 6th graders' hands last year.
It's
So,
true.
If you need that, I will.
It's an option.
Ellie is volunteering.
All right.
Your hands are warmer than mine.
All right, guys. So I have a question for you. What is weather? What's weather? Let's hold at that one moment. There's just a few friends who are still working on their focus and being ready to listen. Okay, thank you. What's weather?
Weather is something that can come from the clouds that is that can be that touches the ground.
Okay. It can come from the clouds. Okay. It can even be the clouds. The clouds are part of the weather. Okay, what else?
Weather is like heat, like the temperature.
Okay, temperature is part of
How
it.
dry it is.
Okay, precipitation's part of it.
Something like rain that is caused by Mother Nature.
Okay.
Climate.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up the word climate. How are weather and climate different? Is climate weather and is weather climate?
Yes. Climate is weather,
Yeah.
but weather's
They're
not
the same
climate.
Almost.
Yes.
Except for one's hot.
Almost. Climate is like rain. How high you are. Weather can be hot.
So let's ask this question. What's the weather today?
Rainy.
Cloudy, rainy,
Cool.
a little bit chilly.
A little
Now,
bit.
Ayo. So today the weather in Flagstaff is rainy, it's chilly, and it's overcast. Is the climate, meaning the bigger trend of Flagstaff, is the weather most of the time rainy, cold, and overcast?
No.
No,
Yeah.
we do have days that are, okay? But that's specific to today. This week is supposed to be cloudy and rainy. So the weather, that's what's going on outside in the conditions, the changeable conditions like the precipitation, the temperature, the cloud cover on a particular day in a particular place. The weather in Flagstaff today is raining, overcast, and chilly. Does that mean that in Perth, Australia today it's rainy and overcast and chilly? No. So the weather is specific to location. Okay, the weather is specific to location and a very short period of time, like a day or 2 days. The climate is the average expected weather most of the time over longer periods of time. So you would need data from 10 years, 20 years, 50 years in order to tell what the climate is in Flagstaff. Okay, the climate in Flagstaff for the most part is relatively dry and fairly temperate. We don't have super extreme weathers here. It's not Antarctica. We don't have crazy cold temperatures. And it's not the tropics. We don't have 80 degrees all the time. It's a moderate temperate climate, right? Does that make sense, the difference between climate and weather? Okay? So if it's January, now that we know the difference between climate and weather, if it's January and it's suddenly a really hot day in Flagstaff, it's really bizarre. I'm wearing my t-shirt and it's January and it's really hot. Does that mean, oh my gosh, global climate change, global warming is happening? No. One day's weather does not indicate a change in the climate. But the pattern of change in our weather indicates the potential for change in climate. Does that make sense, you guys? Yeah? It's kind of a hard thing to understand until you really get it. So let's talk about clouds. We've got a lot of clouds here today. A lot of the time in Flagstaff, where do we tend to see clouds most often? The mountains. We will sometimes see clouds over our mountain when we don't see clouds in other places. Isn't that kind of interesting?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Why is that? There are lots of ideas of why perhaps we see more clouds over the mountains. Now, the Hopi people, a traditional culture of this area, they have an explanation that is their truth. In their explanation, the Kachinas live on the peaks, and the Kachinas make the weather. That's why the weather is over the peaks. Is that true if you're a Hopi? Yeah. That is true according to that worldview. A Kachina is like a deity, a special creature in their belief system. Like a god, kind of.
I thought a Kachina was a person. Like a type of person.
No, it's...
Like there's like the Hopis and the Kachinas.
No, the Kachina is a special deity within the Hopi culture.
Deity?
Like a god or a special creature in the culture. I don't know if that's the right word, if it's really a god. Yeah. Okay. A demigod. Cool. Nice. So what was your name? So Logan just gave us a great explanation. He said the Kachinas are kind of demigods. They're not full gods. They are mortal, but they're really special in that culture. All right, so I want us to decide why it is, according to the science perspective, why it is we maybe see more clouds over the mountain than other places. Whoa. Can I have everybody put themselves into, let's see, got about 40, so groups of about 5 people. Find a group of 5.
We need one more.
Is your phone recording us?
Oh, you spotted it.
I have All right, find your groups in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, each group, I'm going to hand you all one of these little cartoons. And on this cartoon, there are 3 little friends here who all have a different idea about why there are more clouds over the mountain. In fact, one person, he doesn't think that that's really true. He thinks we're just imagining it because the mountains are, something we see a lot, so we look up there. Okay? So with your group, I want you to read these 3 ideas about why there might be more clouds over the mountain. And as a group, I'd like you to come up with your answer. Which of these 3 answers do you think is correct and why? Or does your group have a totally different idea altogether? Maybe you think it's something else. Okay? Make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, guys, let's see. I think that have you ever noticed more clouds, rain, weather, somebody wants to hold it up. I'll hold it. I want it. You're squiggling. Give it to me. Have you ever noticed that more clouds, rain, one person at a time. We don't need to. I already read that. Stop. Ellie, stop. I said just messing around. Yeah, because the mountain versus Aaron has like you like coconut.
Hey, 2 more minutes. 2 minutes to chat about it.
What was it? Hey guys, we just he's wrong. So wrong. Both of them suck.
Do it, the middle one. one.
The cow pie, that's Oreo. I think it's the middle. I think it's the middle. I want to go to the bottom. It's the middle. I think it's the I did not. I did.
One more minute. 1 minute.
Should I write that down? Elevation. I want to be the weird guy. Raise your hand. Where? You think it's the first guy. It's word. Think it's the third guy. Be quiet. 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Blast off!
That group right there is so tuned in. They are ready to listen. Thank you so much for being ready to listen. I really appreciate that.
They should get a balloon each.
Thank you, gentlemen, right in front here for being ready to listen. Thank you guys for being ready to listen. Okay. What group would like to share? Do you have a spokesperson who wants to share what you think and why? This group right here.
Okay, we think it's like
Oh, hold on just 1 second, because as soon as you started talking, I heard these other conversations. It makes it so hard to hear. Go ahead.
So we think it's the second guy because we think the mountain forces air into a higher altitude. So like that creates more clouds.
Okay.
Because it sounds
Because it sounds the fanciest. That's your justification.
and it's smart. Like it sounds really smart. So like
Yeah, that's partly why we choose
the other ones just sound like it's like guessing.
Okay. All right. I would love to hear from another group, but I need to wait till I see that everyone's listening and I hear that your voices are silent. Okay, what does your group think back there? Number 2? Okay. Would you read number 2 for us, since you're the second group that thinks that might be the case?
I think it is because the mountain forces air to a higher altitude where pressure and temperature drop causes condensation creating clouds.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
One of the reasons that would work is because hot air rises and so our clouds are really hot because that's how they stay up in the air.
Okay.
And so that makes them rise.
Okay.
Well, my dad told me this, so he said that from the Gulf of Mexico, all this moisture builds up, and then when it comes to the mountain, it can't get through it, so then it builds up, and it goes over.
Ah, so you got some prior knowledge from Dad kind of explaining weather patterns to you? Cool. And we can always call on our prior knowledge, can't we?
Yeah.
What does your group think?
The second one.
You think the second one also? Okay, how about you guys?
The second one, because the last one didn't even really make sense to us, and the first one didn't make as much sense as the second one even.
Okay.
The third one.
The third one, that maybe we just sort of think that it's more clouds because we look at the mountains more often. Maybe
I think clouds just like kind of come from
Look, those are clouds.
because they just come from the sky.
Yeah, like if like
Yeah, something.
like if someone's like in a spaceship up there and they're like taking a shower in their spaceship, and I think like the fog comes out of their spaceship and comes down, and it's like
Okay. So we have an alternative view of weather patterns here. Okay. One more thought. But let's wait till everyone's ready to listen, including these ladies right behind me. Voices silent, bodies still, ready to listen. Yes.
At first, we weren't that sure about number 1 or 2 because we kind of piggyback onto each other. But we picked 2.
So read number 1 for me. Because I can see why you would say they seem similar. So read number 1 so we can kind of think about that one.
I think it's because there's more rain and snow on the mountain than other places. So more water is evaporated right over the mountain, making water.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think that's true because I think that because the clouds build up on the mountain, that's why it
Yeah, that's why it's
there.
wet.
So that's one of the things with science that we have to watch out for. We see this a lot in the media when the media reports science studies. They'll take information and say, well, because this happens, that means this other thing. But sometimes the cause is the other way around, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying, I don't think it's more clouds because there's more rain on the mountain. I think there's more rain because there's more clouds.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Let's make sure I get those papers back, and we'll kind of find out for sure which one is the right answer by the end of our activity, I think. Okay? Thank you.
Can I be the mountain?
I want to be the cloud. Can I be the mountain?
Okay, I've got 5 back. I need 5 more. Oh, good. Yes.
Can I be the mountain?
No one's going to be the mountain.
Can I be the cloud?
I'm just all going to be clouds.
I found we should go get our bags.
Right.
I remember that.
You do? Hey, and there
I'm missing 1
they have
cartoon.
So 6.
One cartoon back, please.
Let me go get that.
All right. Ayo. Let's try that again. That didn't work at all. Ayo. Oh, I see one group right here that's ready to listen. See another group right here that's ready to listen. I see 3 ladies, 4 ladies, 5 ladies right here that are ready to listen. All right, that's what I like to see. Where did my little envelope go? Here it is. Okay, so for us to kind of reason out what might be the correct answer to why mountains create more weather, or maybe they don't, okay, we need to decide if that's true. We need to understand how water works, and we need to understand how air works and how it interacts with water. So the first thing I want to do, the first game we want to play, is we're going to figure out how water reacts to temperature. And I bet you guys already know a lot about this. You probably learned about phase change and the states of matter and what water does in elementary school. You probably reviewed it with Mrs. Esparza. Oh, not yet? Okay, great. So what happens to the molecules of water when it gets really, really cold?
Oh, they kind of begin to freeze up.
Okay.
They
Okay.
get kind of particles in them sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, sometimes there's particles.
Different kinds of particles, like dust particles.
Okay, dust particles definitely can play a factor in condensation for sure. What happens when water gets really, really cold?
The molecules inside of it start slowing down and then become the solid.
Yes, they slow down, they don't move as much, and they're really close together, and that's what causes it to freeze, right? Making ice. So I'm going to perform some magic, and you're all going to become molecules of water. Ding. You're all now molecules of water. And you are now, here's the thing about water molecules, they have no mouths, so they can't talk. So please put your molecules really close together as though you're frozen. And put your bodies really close together, everybody, the whole group. Whole group. Whole group is really close together. Freeze, please. Like literally freeze your bodies. Okay, everybody spread apart. Spread apart. Please have a seat on the ground. Just sit right down where you are. Yes, you're going to get wet. That is, in fact, the challenge that we're up against today. Put that in your mouth. Can you please put that in your backpack? Great.
Ladies, I don't want to have to split anybody up, so show me that you can be next to each other.
Okay, I see 5 people right here that are ready to listen. Okay. So guys, I have 2 actually pretty fun and physical games planned for us to kind of act out what happens when clouds form to make weather. The problem is I'm noticing that you guys are not being as thoughtful and respectful of each other's bodies as we need to be in order to be safe to play these games, especially because it was just too rainy in the open field and there's just not a lot of space here. There's sticks coming out of this tree over here, there's things on the ground. For us to do this and to be safe, we are going to have to be really respectful, and you have to listen to the instructions really carefully. If that doesn't happen, none of this can work. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to try again moving like water molecules. This time, however, we're not crushing each other. We're not jumping on each other. We're being really thoughtful. Our voices are completely silent. When I say completely silent, that doesn't mean silent except for whispering to your neighbor. It doesn't mean really quiet unless I have something I think is super important to say or I feel like I need to giggle. It means there is no talking because for you to hear my instructions and be safe, there needs to be no talking. Does that make sense? So, let's make sure we don't have any balloons in mouths. This is the third balloon in a mouth that I've seen. Can we take the balloons out of our mouths, please?
And guys, you can't take a balloon back with you. There's no latex allowed in Sonawa because we have really hypersensitive allergies where people could get very sick and nearly die. So you're not allowed to take balloons home. So if you have a balloon, I suggest you quietly and discreetly bring it over to me at some point before we get back on the bus, okay? No balloons go back into Sonawa.
We covered that. When I passed them out, I let everyone know I'm not giving out balloons. You guys are helping me blow up balloons for an activity. Okay? And balloons in mouths isn't really safe. That's actually a massive choking hazard. Okay, can we try this game again, but really listen this time and not be, hold on, why are we moving? That tells me we're already not listening again. Uh-oh. Let's try this again. Do you guys feel ready to listen to instructions and be safe with your bodies?
Yes.
Okay. Please turn yourself into an ice cube, being respectful of each other's bodies. So remember, voices are completely silent. Not silent unless I really, really want to say something, or silent unless I don't feel like being silent. Silent means definitely, totally, completely, 100% silent, because water molecules can't talk. Does anybody know what the freezing temperature of water is? Fahrenheit or Celsius, doesn't matter. 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Does anyone know Celsius?
0 degrees Celsius.
0 degrees Celsius. So freezing, 32 Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. Okay. If we were to take that ice cube out of the freezer and we put it on the counter, it's going to slowly come to room temperature. So you water molecules are going to start to have a little more energy. You're moving a little bit. You're going to spread apart a little bit. You might be kind of rolling over each other because you're going to turn into liquid water. Liquid water has a bit more energy. It kind of moves around a little bit. It doesn't go too far though because it's not too hot yet. It's only about 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 21 degrees Celsius. Awesome. And then we're going to add some... Oh, thank you. Then we're going to add some heat. We're going to put it on the stove. We're going to get it to boiling. Boiling water? What temperature does water boil at? 212 degrees Fahrenheit or...
300 degrees Celsius?
Not 300.
100.
100 degrees Celsius. So that's the boiling point of water. So once you're boiling, you're kind of jiggling and shaking a little more. You got a little more energy. You spread apart because you've now become water vapor and you're moving around a little more. Yeah, you got some energy. That energy is heat. And it makes you vibrate and it makes you move.
Only molecule.
Oh my goodness. And it has started to cool off and you are starting to condense. So you're coming back together. You've become water again. So you're not ice yet. We're not ice yet, but we're water. We're kind of flowing. We're moving. We're taking the shape of our container. And we've now filled the ice tray again, put it back in the freezer. We're cooling some more and we're going to become ice. But we are not squishing each other or pushing into anyone. We're just respectfully being ice cubes. Respectful ice cubes. That's a whole new vocabulary for me. Awesome. And everybody please have a seat right where you are and look at me.
And you have to sit down.
Yes, I'd like you to sit down since that seems to be a easy way to listen.
I can feel this. I can feel the soakness.
I think I am like a frog.
I'm a hypothermic. I'm a hypothermic.
I'm in high.
Okay, so let's talk about what happened